So many stitches on this machine, too many to actually go through individually, but they're all basically in sections. Utility stitches, buttonhole, applique, heirloom, quilt, satin stitches, bridge stitches, lots of decorative stitches, some long stitches, pictorial stitches, and then some that they call play, which basically are like handmade and dress form and that kind of thing, and then fonts. And then the way that you can choose them, there are various ways. The big arrow buttons on the left and right at the bottom here enable you to scroll through each of these sections. So it always starts off with your utility stitches. It tells you here, and there's 2 pages, and that's the first section on the plate up here. So if I want to go to applique, I can hit the arrow to the right and just keep scrolling through until I get to applique, and then it shows me the applique stitches. If I want to go on to some quilting stitches, I can keep scrolling forward until it tells me that I'm on quilt stitches here, and it tells me there's 4 pages. So there's 16 stitches there, and then I can scroll through another 16, page 2 of 4, and I can keep scrolling through. Once I've got to the end of those, it will move on to the next set of stitches, which is satin. I can always hit the home button if I want to go back home, and I can also access the stitches by going into this icon here that looks like a little t-shirt, and this will go through seaming, over edge, rolled hem, that kind of thing. And again, I can scroll through buttonhole, basting, that, you know, different sections. This one here takes me into the fonts, and there's 3 fonts. There's a block font, a script font, and an extended font, a 9mm font. So if I go into the basic block font, you can see here that I can do large or small. I can do uppercase or lowercase and a combination. I can delete them, and once I've made something, I can save it if I want to. So to type the word Hannah, I'm leaving it on large, and I'm leaving it on capitals, and I'm just going to choose the letters. And that's type the word. And then I can just start sewing. If I don't want to do that, I can, if I've spelt it wrong, I can hit the trash icon and delete them letter by letter. There's so many things that you can do with this machine. So I'm just going to turn the machine just towards me ever so slightly so I can see. And I thought I'd just show you how it sews. So I'm going to go into this A stitch here, which is the fonts. And there are 3 different fonts on here, a block, a script, and a block at 9mm. I'm just going to choose the basic block for now. I'm going to leave it on large, and I'm going to leave it on capitals, and I'm just going to type Hannah. And then I'm just going to sew that out. I'm going to have to turn the machine round to me just so that I can see what I'm doing, and then I'll show you. So basically it's so easy, just put the foot down and set the machine to go. And as it completes each letter, it's in black on the screen here on the right, which you can't see, but as it completes each letter, it turns it to red. And then when it gets to the end of the name, it will stop and it will cut the thread. There you go. So there is Hannah. Just going to hit the home button, and then I'll show you some of the decorative stitches because they really are lovely. So I'm going to using there's arrows left and right here, and you can scroll your way through the individual sections which are pointed out on here. So I'm going to go into the decorative section. And then from there I'm just going to choose one of the numbers. So I'm going to go for number 14. That's one of the decorative stitches. You can also program stitches into this, so if you want a combination of different stitches you can do that as well. So I've chosen 3 different designs now, and I'm just going to set the machine sewing. So that's a repeated pattern of 3 different designs. There are some long designs on here as well, which again I'm just scrolling through using the arrows on my screen here, and I'm just going to choose one of the patterns. So that's another design. And there are some picture stitches on here as well, so I'll show you some of those. Not sure how well you're going to see this. That's a little cat. So I'll just do a few more. That's a little car. Not sure how well you're going to see this, but I chose the car and then there's a stop stitch that I added. So that has now just sewn one car. But if I didn't put the stop stitch in, it would keep sewing that as long as I was feeding material through. So you can make a combination of designs if you want. So for instance, you've got a pair of scissors and a bobbin and a needle here. If you wanted to make a border of that, you'd choose each stitch and it would just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Or you could choose the 3 and put the stop in and it would sew the 3 and then stop. You can do, it's so versatile, this machine. You can do so many things with it. And as I say, you just hit the home button, that takes you straight back to your regular stitch. And then you can choose your patterns by going through the arrows here, which takes you into the buttonholes, and then when I click again it's going to bring you onto the applique section, and you just scroll your way through, all the way through until you get to the pictorials, which is the ones I've just been on. And then There's some that they call play, which again is like dressmaking things. There's a handmade. You can actually sew the word handmade, so you can put labels and things. So many things that you can do. It does one-step buttonholes, so I've put a button in the section at the end, which you just slide this up and down to choose the size of your button. I'm going to take that foot off, slide this foot on. You just need to thread the thread through the gap where you're going to attach the foot. Put that down, put your fabric under, put your presser foot down, and then what you need to do when you've got the buttonhole foot on, there's a lever that you pull down here at the back, and you just lock it in behind this point on the buttonhole. Then you go into your buttonhole section on the machine, which is number 2, and I'm just going to make a basic normal regular buttonhole, which is number 1, but there are 8 different types of buttonhole that you can do. So I'm going to choose number 1, make sure the presser foot's down and start the machine. And you can't see, but on the screen it actually says pull down the buttonhole lever, so that's what sets the buttonhole to the size of the button that you've got in the back of the foot. And it starts off at the bottom and it works its way up to the top and then comes back down doing the stitches. Then it'll go across, back up and finish off, and it will stop when it's done it. As you can see, my hands are here, I'm not even touching the fabric, it's just sewing. There you go, that was in real time. It stopped sewing and it's cut the thread. I just need to lift this up and there is my buttonhole. So if I take the foot off, I'll put the lever back up out of the way, take the foot off, I pull the buttonhole foot apart now to get the button out, and then if I'll just get a seam ripper, and you should put a pin on either end really so that you don't slice through, but I'm just going to do this gently. Just going to put my seam ripper in. I'm just going to snip this last bit with some scissors because I've not got my pins nearby to put a pin in either end to stop from cutting right through the stitches. So I've just snipped through there and you'll see now that the button goes through perfectly. And then I can even sew the button on with this sewing machine if I want to. So that's the how to make buttonholes. I'm going to put this foot back on. I can do applique stitches with this machine. I'll just choose a basic one. So there's a basic applique stitch. I can do cross stitch. So there's a cross stitch design. So many different stitches that this machine can do and so much functionality really. If there's anything in particular that you want to see, leave me a comment under the video and I'll try and do a specific video on that. But it has so many stitches, this machine, I could be sat here for days just showing you all the stitches. But as I say, you can just do an individual stitch, you can sew a combination of stitches as I've just shown you. You can just sew one stitch and put a stop in. The possibilities are endless really with this machine. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to set it up for embroidery sewing and then maybe do a simple project using the embroidery functions. So please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already do so, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.